In this video, I'm gonna show you how to play exactly what I did in this intro, and it's actually quite simple to do. You only need two things. The first one is a reverb pedal that can go fully wet sound without the dry signal. So if you look at my Strymon Big Sky right now, this is the mix knob. And if I turn it all the way up while I'm playing, you hear that the dry signal disappeared. So now I can play things like, and get that kind of tone. You just have to put a lot of feedback or a lot of decay so that the reverb sounds really long, and then you're gonna get a kind of sound like this. And the second thing you need is a looper pedal. I'm gonna be using my good old boomerang. And the first step is to pick a chord, and that chord becomes your key. So I picked E major. So I'm in the key of E major. So I can add my reverb effect and strum lightly at a regular interval to get an even sound with my reverb. And then I can record that on my looper. Close the loop, and then that becomes the bass to my song, right? So now to make it sound fuller and bigger, I can play more notes on top of it. So my E major chord, the notes that are in it are E, G sharp, and B. So I can play E's, G sharps, and B's all over the fretboard on many octaves. I could play them here, or like I could play E here, G sharp, B, or anywhere on the fretboard where it works, and create a second layer to add more notes to it. So let's try that with the reverb effect, of course, right? Right, so now I have more layers. So now the problem is that it's gonna get old after a while. If you play a full E major chord for like 5 minutes in a row, it's not as interesting. We need more movement. We need more tensions and resolutions happening in the soundscape so that it sounds even more beautiful. So what we're gonna do is that we're gonna play notes of our entire E major scale, but we're not gonna play them randomly like this. There is a logic behind it. In my E major scale, I have 7 notes, right? So we could say this is the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, right? Because that's the same one, that's an E in both cases. So in that scale, there are notes that are passive and notes that are active. The passive notes are the notes of my scale, the exact one that I've just told you. The E, the G sharp, and the B's are passive notes because they sound resolved. They sound like home. We can end here and it sounds super resolved on top of the E chord. So right, that would be the 1, 3, 5 of my scale. So all other notes, the 2, the 4, the 6, and the 7, are gonna be active notes. They actively want to resolve to a passive note so that they can rest, right? So the 7 wants to resolve to 1. The 6 wants to resolve to 5. The 4 wants to resolve to 3. And the 2 could go both way to 1 or to 3. Because it's an equal distance of one tone from the 2 to the 1 or the 2 to the 3, right? So if I play my E major chord and I try that on top, it's gonna do 7, 1, 6, 5, 4, 3, 1 or 2, 3. So like I said, it adds really nice tensions and resolutions in it. So I'm gonna play my E major chord. I'm gonna delete the previous one and I'm gonna try the new version playing with passive and active notes. Okay, nice. So now the next step is to play that all over the fretboard. I played that in only one octave, but you could put in front of you a chart of all the positions of an E major scale and then use your ears to guide you. Which note am I on and where does it need to be resolved afterwards? So I can add yet another layer by doing that all over the fretboard, right? So I could do like the 4, 3, or I could go here 1, 2, 1, or 5, 4, 3, right? By the way, I'm using a little like tremolo picking once again just to get the most consistency out of my fully wet reverberated signal. So let's add that on top of everything. Right. So now it starts to sound more complete with tensions and resolutions, and it's beautiful. By the way, I didn't talk about the looping techniques, which is to use a free mode, right? So each loop is going to be of different lengths so that when they repeat on top of each other, it's never going to be exactly the same. For example, the first loop might be 5 seconds, the second loop 11 seconds, and the third loop 14.3 seconds or something like that, so that each cycle is never exactly the same this way. And that's where it leads me, is that if you want something that moves even more and that goes somewhere, you can create a chord progression instead of just one static chord at the bottom, right? So instead of my good old E chord at the bottom like this, I could have a full chord progression. What's important is that you stay in the key, because now you're using all the notes of the key of E major by using the tensions and resolutions. So do not use chords that are outside the key, because that could clash a lot. So if I'm using the 7 notes of my major scale, I'm going to use the 7 chords of my major key, right? So in the key of E major, we have the root chord, E major, the 2 chord, F sharp minor, the 3 chord G sharp minor, the 4 chord A, the 5 chord B, the 6 chord C sharp minor, and the 7 chord D sharp diminished, right? If you want to learn more about scale harmonization, that's in the second module of my free course on chords. You can check it out in the description box if you want. So I could have a chord progression with the root chord E, the 4 chord A, the 6 chord C sharp minor, and then the 5 chord B. And that will sound beautiful. So now I just deleted the first loop where was my long E chord, and I'm going to record a new one with my chord progression by playing really slowly with the reverb effect. Alright, so now I could add even more overdubs of passive and active note resolutions to make sure I don't get any gaps in my other loops. absolutely beautiful. If you'd like to go further and learn ambient guitar techniques, I'm your teacher. You can check out my other free course in the description box. It's called A Beginner's Guide to Ambient Guitar. In it, I'm showing you how to create drones, but also ambient swells, how to make a great clean tone, what kinds of effects you need to play ambient guitar, how to loop and layer your sounds to create your own original compositions and original songs by playing ambient guitar. So actually you can check it out, all of my free courses that I mentioned in this video below. It's my gift to you for watching my video, so I hope that you will enjoy a lot. Make sure to subscribe to my channel if it's your first time here for more content on ambient guitar playing, and I'm gonna see you soon. Until next time, au revoir.